Hey everyone, today I'm looking at something that GnarlyFPV just sent, a 2-inch version of the Sub Atomic, which you might have seen on the channel recently. What they've done here is they've gone and made a slightly larger version of this, something designed to spin 2-inch props, same size electronics, and just go up a little bit in motor size. So here's the bottom plate. So I think the center section is quite similar, then they've extended the arms and added these little braces in the back. Very nice finish. Countersunk screws there, and I think all the screws for the bottom, including the stack screws, are now countersunk, so that's real nice. And let's just compare these two. So here's the original Sub Atomic, and here's the 2-inch version. So you can see quite a lot of extra room there for bigger props. And because I only have at the moment one of these 16x16 JHEMCU all-in-one flight controllers, I'm going to have to just use the one I have here. That'll actually make the build pretty easy for me, because I'll just have to desolder these motors, but I can leave the receiver and VTX and everything else intact. Probably just move all that straight over to this and just solder on the new motors. GnarlyFPV recommends 1103 to 1202 size motors between 9 and 10,000 kV. So I got the XING Nano 1202 8000 kV. I thought I ordered the 10,000, but I double checked my order and I had mistakenly ordered the 8,000. But I think I can still make these work. I mean, I could have returned them and got the 10,000, but I didn't feel like waiting for that. And like I said, I think I can make these work on 3S. So these motors are quite lightweight, nice long wires, and they should be good quality. I think it was $50 for a set of 4 of these. So my original intention with 10,000 kV was to run it on this 2S 450, and this battery weighs about 27 grams. But since I got the 8,000 kV motors by mistake, I might need to run 3S on little 2-inch props, and so I also have these 3S 300, and these weigh about 28 grams, so basically the same weight as these, but one extra cell. So if this works out, this could be an option if you don't have, if you can't find 10,000 kV motors. Maybe you could run a slightly lower kV on higher cell count. We'll see. So here we go. Frame by itself, coming in at about 14 grams. And then if you want to add, then once you start adding the 3D printed parts, it goes up to 15, 16 grams. If you add the 360 Go mount, probably go up to 18, about 18 grams. And then plus there are the motor screws, which the kit very nicely includes motor screws for both 9mm and smaller, I think 6.6mm mounting. So what I'll do next, let me desolder these motors and start moving the electronics over, and this will be basically ready to go. Okay, so here's the completed Sub Atomic 2, and like the first one, kit went together very well. Here's a good look at the bottom plate, which is the biggest difference between this and the original Sub Atomic. So these extended arms and extra bracing on the back arms, pretty nice. And then here you can see all the countersunk hardware, looking pretty good. And I'm using the included antenna mount. This mount really I think is designed for like a mini Model T, but I'm just kind of using it in this way for a little XM Plus whiskers coming out, and I have some heat shrink on there just to add some extra protection. So just a quick look around. I'm using the Runcam Nano 2 for this one. There's a nice bright picture from that. And here I take a look at the updated rear standoff. So with the 3 openings, I'm using it a little bit differently. So just because of where I have the little Unify VTX, that's just a straight shot for the VTX antenna, so I'm running it out of that opening. And on this side, just using it as a place to hold the zip tie for the battery connector, which is a little bit easier to reach the batteries coming out of the side instead of the back. And then this third opening I'm not using. If you're using this type of VTX antenna, that would fit, could fit in that opening if you wanted to use that kind of configuration, but I'm not at the moment. So you might ask, what are the advantages of this over the original Sub Atomic? And I think it's just going to be, you'll get slightly more power and efficiency being able to run the slightly bigger prop, but I won't know for sure exactly how different it is until I fly it. But before I do that, let's do official weigh-in before I take it out for its first test. So coming in 51 grams, and if we add the 3S 300, going up to 80 grams. Okay, so what do I think about the Sub Atomic 2? Well, like the original one, this is a really neat little micro freestyle frame, but being slightly larger, I think it might be easier to find props and motors that would work on this. And being a little bit more powerful, it might be more suited to carrying an Insta360 Go, and it does include a nice mount for that. Although I still think at this size, you're better off with the original 360 Go, which only weighs about 17 or 18 grams, versus the 360 Go 2, which is closer to 30 grams. And I think at this size, 30 grams is a little bit too much to add to have any kind of a decent flying experience, but it is good, I think, for the original 360 Go. And maybe when the CATX Peanut comes out, that would be an option to try out as well. And so in my flight testing, I tried a couple of different props. The ones you're looking at here are EMAX Avan 2x2.4 quad blades, and I think with these 1202 8000 kV motors, that's a good choice. I also tried these Gemfan Hurricane 2023s, and these felt a little bit underpowered to me, and also getting about the same flight time as these, so you might as well just run the quad blades. And speaking of flight time, it was a little bit short on this 3S300, which is probably the best battery that I had on hand to test this with. It was less than 3 minutes, but the power and everything was really great, although it was getting a fair amount of voltage sag. And this is the only next size battery I have up, which is a 520 3S, and this weighs about 42 grams. And it flew for an extra minute on this, but definitely felt heavy and wasn't nearly as much fun as this 3S300, which is about 28 grams. So probably, I think the perfect battery on 3S would be about a 350 milliamp, maybe 35 gram battery, but I couldn't find one of those in time for this. And I think maybe if flight time is your priority, you're better off going with the 10,000 kV version of these motors on 2S, with like a 350 to 450 2S. You'd probably easily get over 3 minutes and have similar flight performance to what I was getting here with the 3S and 8,000 kV. So I think Gnarly's recommendation of 10,000 kV on a 2S battery is probably the way to go.